Hello, and welcome to Cooking with Todd. This is Todd. For today's video, I am doing some General Tso chicken. For this recipe, you're going to need toasted sesame oil, Chinese cooking wine, soy sauce, preferably dark, but I do not have no dark. You're going to need rice vinegar. This is seasoned. You're also going to need some hoisin sauce. You're going to need 3 to 4 cloves of garlic. You are going to need cornstarch. You're going to need some chicken broth. I'm going to reconstitute this with water. You're going to need baking soda. You're going to need 2 chicken breasts. You're going to need ginger root. You're going to need 6 green onions or scallions. You're also going to need 1 cup of flour, 1 cup of cornstarch, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, and 1 teaspoon of salt. And I will go ahead and just give out measurements further on in the video when it gets to each individual section, as this is going to be 3 different sections for ingredients. So I will go ahead and just get my board cleaned off and go ahead and get started for the first part of this recipe. And one other thing you are going to need is you are going to need a good frying oil for deep frying, such as vegetable or canola. That will come at a later stage. But for right now, to get started on the first step, you're going to need your chicken breasts, your baking soda, your soy, and Chinese cooking wine. You're going to need 3 tablespoons of cornstarch. And of course, I got a measuring vessel here. To get started, I'm going to go ahead and clean my board off. And I'm going to go ahead and start with making a marinade. For that, you are going to need a small bowl. I'm actually going to go ahead and change that out for a little bit of a bigger bowl. And you are going to want to go ahead and add 3 tablespoons of soy sauce. And there's 3 tablespoons of the soy sauce. You're also going to need 3 tablespoons of the cooking wine. And you're going to want to go ahead and add in your 3 tablespoons of cornstarch. And you're going to want to add in 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. This just kind of helps tenderize the chicken as it marinades. And you are going to want to whisk this together until the cornstarch dissolves and there's no more big lumps. And I'm going to go ahead and add in just a little bit of the Better Than Bouillon chicken paste, or about that much. And I'm going to add in a couple teaspoons of water, about a tablespoon. And I'm going to go ahead and just set this off to the side. And wipe my board down and my whisk. And I'm going to go ahead and just get started on doing my chicken breast. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take some paper towel, and you're going to want to pat your chicken breast dry. And you're going to want to go ahead and just start trimming off any of the excess fat. Like so. And any of these small little bits of cartilage that may be in here. Cut these into about 1-inch strips. Like so. And then you're going to want to go ahead and cut these into 1-inch cubes, about like this. And you're going to want to drop this into your marinade. And also, I did forget to go ahead and say, you are going to want to save about 1 tablespoon of your marinade to use in a later step in this recipe. And I will go ahead and bring you back with the next step. You're just going to want to go ahead and give this a good mix. And I'm going to rinse my hand off. Okay, so for the next step, you're going to want to take your 1 cup of flour, 1 cup of cornstarch, 1 teaspoon of salt, and 1 teaspoon of baking powder. And you're going to want to mix this up. And right about there is perfect. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take your 3 tablespoons of reserved marinade. You're just going to want to drizzle that in there. And you're going to want to mix this up by hand. And all this is doing is making small little bits that you're going to want to go ahead and just break those up into smaller pieces. Okay, I'm happy with this right there at this point. I'm going to go ahead and just set this off to the side. And I will bring you back with the next step. Okay, so I'm at the sauce section of this recipe now. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go ahead and get a deep fryer or a Dutch oven if you do not have a deep fryer. And you're going to want to go ahead and get your frying oil preheated to 375 degrees. Also, you're going to want to go ahead and get your water coming up to a boil for your rice, for your side. And also, if you are going to be steaming broccoli, you can go ahead and get your steamer set up at this time. For the sauce portion, you're going to need 4 tablespoons of chicken stock. So I'm going to go ahead and just add in my water. You are going to need 3 tablespoons of rice wine vinegar. You're going to need 3 tablespoons of Chinese cooking wine. And my water is coming up to a boil, so I am going to go ahead and get 1 cup of rice and put that in my boiling water. And I'm going to give that a good mix. And I'm going to go ahead and just bring that back up to a boil. And once it comes up to a boil, I'm going to lower the heat to a medium. And follow the directions on the package to cook the rice the rest of the way. You're also going to need 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, preferably dark soy sauce, but I do not have that. So I'm just going to do just a tad extra than 2 tablespoons. And you're going to need 2 tablespoons of white sugar, which I am just going to fry that right about there. And you're going to need 1 tablespoon of toasted sesame oil, about like that. And you're going to need 1 tablespoon of hoisin sauce. And you're going to want to go ahead and give this a good mix. And also you're going to want to go ahead and add in 1 tablespoon of cornstarch. And you're going to want to go ahead and mix this up until everything is dissolved. There's no lumps left in the cornstarch and the sugar is completely dissolved. Oh, and I almost forgot to add in my chicken broth. So I'm going to go ahead and just add in about a teaspoon of that. And I'm going to go ahead and give this, keep on mixing this. Right now, I'm going to go ahead and start getting my pan heated up, and I'm going to go ahead and turn that on a medium. And you're going to want a pan big enough that you can make your sauce in, and you're also going to want it big enough to toss your chicken in. So I'm going to say a good 12-inch pan would be perfect. I'm going to go ahead and set this off to the side, and I'm going to start preparing my green onions. And to do that, I'm going to go ahead and slice the roots off, like so, and just discard of these. And you're going to want to, or thinly slice, I mean, the white ends. Then once you start getting into the green sections, like right about there, you are going to want to go ahead and slide those off to the side. I went ahead and just did a little more because there was quite a bit of white to the left. And what you're going to want to do is thinly slice these for garnish, like so. And then the rest of these you are going to want to cut into about 1-inch strips, and this is going to go in the sauce. And since these are going in the sauce too, I'm going to go ahead and put this over there. Now I'm going to go ahead and take my ginger, and I'm going to just cut off the end because this has been in my fridge for some time. And I'm going to go ahead and just cut off this little finger right here, and I'm going to discard of that. And I'm going to thinly slice these. And then I'm going to go ahead and just stack these up like this. And since I did not peel this in advance, I'm going to just cut it off like so. And it will stay stacked. And just cut the skin off of the ginger. And I'm going to go ahead and just do that. And I'm going to go ahead and just skin that and slice this thinly. And I'm going to go ahead and just thinly slice these into little fingers. And stick these off to the side into the same bowl with the green onions. And set that back off to the side. Now I'm going to go ahead and just set my garlic over there for when it's needed in a little bit. And my rice looks like it is about done at this time. Now I'm going to go ahead and just check it to see if it needs any water to finish cooking. I'm going to go ahead and add a little more water in there and give that another stir. And I'm going to go ahead and start my sauce. And to do that, I'm just going to go ahead and put this in the pan that's been preheating. And that should thicken up quite quickly. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my whisk and give it a stir. And I'm going to lower the heat down to a low. And I'm going to go ahead and add in my green onions. And give that another stir. And the sauce is pretty much done at this point, but I'm going to add one more ingredient, and that is some crushed red chili flakes. This is an optional ingredient, so you don't need to add it. It just gives it just a little bit of spice. And I'm going to add just a pinch, not too much, just enough to give it just a little bit of heat. And I'm going to go ahead and give this sauce another mix. And I'm going to go ahead and check my rice again. I'm going to go ahead and get my flour out that I prepared earlier. And move this off to the side. Sorry about it being a little chaotic today. I kind of have a small little kitchen and I'm literally working with just about as wide as this camera angle is for counter space, so you're going to have to bear with me on this one as it is quite a big recipe. Okay, so my deep fryer is not quite up to heat yet, so I'm going to go ahead and just wait a little bit, and I'm going to go ahead and just bring my chicken over here, switch this workstation around a little bit, and take the lid off of my deep fryer. And what you're going to want to do is you are going to want to just toss these. Just use your hands. And you're going to want to fry this in 2 batches, so not to overcrowd the deep fryer. And you are going to want to fry these for about 5 to 10 minutes, or until they are golden brown. And the internal temperature reads 165. Really 160, because they're going to continue cooking a little bit once you pull them. So I'm going to go ahead and just toss these in my hand, get the excess flour off, and I'm going to go ahead and just drop them in the oil one at a time, being careful not to overcrowd. And right about there. So about half of it should do for my deep fryer. And I'm going to go ahead and just give the basket a shake to dislodge the pieces from the bottom and from each other. And I'll go ahead and bring you back once the chicken is finished deep frying. Oh, also, one more thing. I did forget to mention you are going to want to go ahead and crush your garlic in at the same time you add your ginger and green onions to the sauce. Just thought I should go ahead and mention that since I did forget. Okay, so I'm getting ready to take this first batch out. It is nice and crispy. I'm going to go ahead and just let this sit here for a minute or so to drain. And your sauce should look like this. Not thin, but not thick. Sorry for not really doing a stove angle today. I'm kind of working with limited space and a lot of ingredients, so just going to have to bear with me on this video. And I went ahead and breaded this other half off of camera, and I'm going to go ahead and start dropping those in one at a time. And once again, you're going to want to be careful not to overcrowd, but since I am deep frying this, I can kind of get away with it just a little bit. Okay, and I got 2 more pieces, I believe, here. Alrighty, that is all of the chicken there. So I'm going to go ahead and just let this deep fry and do its thing. Give it a shake to dislodge it. And I am going to go ahead and just bring you back for the last little bit of steps. Okay, so the second batch is done now. And I'm going to go ahead and just shake off the excess grease or oil. And I'm going to go ahead and put this on the cooling rack to help it drain. And I'm going to go ahead and just turn my deep fryer off. And I'm going to go ahead and just let these sit here and cool off for this half. And I should go ahead and mention that these by themselves are delicious. You don't need to put them on any type of sauce. You can just make these as little chicken nuggets, and pretty sure any kid would love them and tear them up. Went ahead and got my sauce over here reheating just a little bit and reconstituted it with some water since it did thicken up a little bit while it was sitting. And I'm going to go ahead and just shut this heat off. I'm going to move these right up here right quick and move a hot pad and bring the sauce mixture out here so you guys can see that. And that is what it should look like. Right about there. And you are going to have rice, so it's not going to be really too thin. You're going to have it on your chicken and it's going to be in your rice. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go ahead and just start dropping your chicken in. And you are going to want to go ahead and just toss these in the sauce. And you are going to want to go ahead and serve these right away. You do not want these really to cool off too much or sit in the sauce all that much. because it will just let the crust soak it up and it will become just a little soggy, which I don't think anybody really likes a soggy crust on chicken. So I'm going to go ahead and just let this sit though for just a little bit so it can soak up just a hair of the sauce. And I'm going to go ahead and just set this off to the side, and I'm going to get a plate out, and I'm going to go ahead and plate this up and show you what it looks like plated up. Okay, so I'm back now, and I'm getting ready to put some of my rice, which by this time should be done. And you're just going to want to put a good portion of it on your plate. And also, if you do want broccoli, now would be the time to go ahead and just put the broccoli on. Or off to the side. I'm going to go ahead and get a spoon here. And I'm going to spoon on some of this chicken right on top of the rice, just like so. About half. This is enough for about 2 servings. And you're going to want to get some of the extra sauce and just kind of spoon that over. And you're also going to just want to go ahead and top this with some of your green onions. And it is ready to serve. So I hope you enjoyed this video, albeit my countertop was a little chaotic today. I hope you like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, thank you for watching, and I hope you stick around to watch me on this journey of mine.